Hey guys, Brian with Hammer Concepts and Designs, and we have a new product that we've worked on for quite some time to bring to market. We've had a lot of requests for something similar to this, and we have got to a point where we're ready to deliver. We have a pro model chassis table. This thing is going to have its place in the shop. It's unlike our beam style. It's more of a bolt together, unbolt together when you need space in the shop, or you need to put a chassis table together, or you need to save space. That's what that table's great for. This one here is more towards a dedicated chassis builder. Now with that said, we're going to be showcasing this thing at PRI 2025. It'll be in our booth 2969. Anybody that'll be at the show that wants to check it out, you can come by and we'll be glad to show you the capabilities of it. All right guys, the general specs of this chassis table, believe it or not, it has the exact same footprint as our beam style. It's 16.5 feet long by 6 feet wide. With that said, it looks a whole lot bigger because the lack of voids like our beam style has, but it is the same size. One thing we did do is we lowered the table 4 inches from our beam style. We always gather feedback from people, good or bad, and we try and implement that feedback to make a better product. And one of the things that we heard commonly was the table was awfully high. Getting in and out to try and work, guys had to either step on something to get in, or they had to kind of leap to get into and work inside the chassis. So we lowered the table down. Unlike our beam style, we have casters on that thing to move it around and make it mobile around the shop. This will have leveling feet. Like I said before, this thing's going to have its place in the shop, and it's going to be a dedicated area for it. I'm gonna start at the back of the table and work my way to the front. So this rear section is 80 inches long by 30 inches wide. And we have 2 wheel flats, 1 on each side, just like our beam style. However, instead of having the 4, we have 2 because we have the lack of voids on the front side of the chassis table. What you're gonna get with tooling with this chassis table is depicted here. There's a few things we still have inside, like these adjuster plates. We have several different versions that I'll talk through, but we didn't put them out here for the purpose of the video and pictures. You'll get those as well, but this is going to be a standard tooling package for this table. Back here at the rear, we have 2 lower back half fixtures. These are great for fixturing the rear horizontal bar, typically where your tether chute mounts to. And then we have 2 taller versions of it up here. Depending on how you do your back half, some guys come to an apex in the middle. You'll only need 1 set of these. Some guys do 2 horizontal bars, 1 higher, 1 lower. You can use these however you need to design your rear tree in the back half, and you can do it with these fixtures. Here in the middle, we have 2 fixtures with several different types of plates. What we have pictured here is tube clamps for 3.5-inch tube clamp for fixturing the rear end. We'll also have a 3-inch version. We'll have a late Big Ford, early Big Ford symmetrical housing in version. We have the 5 lug like we have on the front. We'll show you that here in a minute. It'll do 4.5 through 5.5, 1/2-inch or 5/8 studs. So it's kind of a universal style fixture. We also have a plate for a Mark Williams spindle and a strain spindle. So we really tried hard to cover the spectrum with these, so you can fixture the rear end as well as the front if you're not using a spindle. Continuing to make our way forward, you're going to get 14 tubing clamps. Once we get the chassis table in place and set up, we rarely move where the number 1 bar would go. So as depicted here, the number 1 bar would go in this location. The really cool thing about these clamps that we didn't do on our beam style, we we had those at a fixed height and they were at 6 inches, so the build height would be 6 inches. The reason why we did that is to allow room to get up under the tubing to be able to weld. So we gave it standoff from the table so guys could get in there and weld without having to break it out. But we commonly heard, I want to build the chassis at ride height. So what we did was we took the clamp, similar design, and we made it to where it's adjustable between 4 inches and 6 inches, which is a common build height range for most race cars. We also put a set screw on them. Unlike our beam style, it was more of an economy style deal. We just had a piece that rotated up around the tube and held it in place, but it didn't put any down pressure. We fixed that with this tubing clamp set. It does give down pressure. Like I said, you're going to get 14 of those adjustable tube clamps. We have 4 autonomous pinch seam clamps. They're also adjustable from 4 inches to 6 inches, so you can fixture the body in relation to the chassis frame rails. We typically put the outer frame rails 1 inch above the bottom of the pinch seam. So as you look underneath the chassis, it's kind of hidden from an upper angle, but when you get down below it, it's pretty much parallel across the bottom and flat as you look at it above the pinch seam. But you can fixture these however you want, height-wise as well as distance away from the outer frame rails. Continuing forward, we have an engine fixture. This thing will do between 10 and 14 inches crank height. It also do 0 to 3 degrees in tilt, so it'll go from a small tire all the way up to a big tire, and you can get your drivetrain in line as appropriate for the build that you're doing. We also have our Ford 9-inch plate. You put this in the rear end housing. The back side of this engine fixture has a 1.5-inch tube clamp. We have a 1.5-inch tube clamp on there. You can take a 1.5-inch piece of chrome moly, run it between the two, and it can mimic the drivetrain. So you can plumb and square everything off of that tube during the build. If you want to measure from center out or however you want to do it, you can do that with this fixture. Continuing forward, this is 2 more of the plates I talked about earlier. An example, this is the universal 5 lug, 1/2 inch, 5/8, 4.5, up to 5.5. The cool part about those is if you don't use a spindle style strut for your race car build, what you can do is you can bolt the hub and fixture it that way up on the front side. You can also do the same on the rear with axles. Come inside here, we redesigned our spindle fixture to some extent. We had to because the way it mounted on the beam style, and we still wanted it to be 5-axis, so this is what we came up with for design. So this rail will mount to the main table. It'll be able to adjust in as well as back or forward. Our fixture for the strut spindle itself will be able to move rearward as necessary, and we can adjust height. So this thing will do anywhere from a 24 to 28 inch wheel height. One of the cool things that we improved over the last one is we're giving you an option for like a Strange GT style mimicked spindle. So what we did was we got with Strange, we got the lower pins for the Strange GT strut, and we made an arm so you guys can actually do the A-arms and steering, as well as fixture the strut cups without even having a strut to be able to do it with. So this is as complete as you can do it without a strut. We also still have the old style that we did with the beam. You can also mimic this, but this does not allow you to do A-arms. It doesn't have a pin on the bottom for A-arms, and it also doesn't have the steering arm to be able to do the steering rack as well as tie rods. Continuing forward, we finish it off with the rest of our 14-inch clamps. The construction of this table, it's all 1/4 inch plate steel. The majority of it is bolted together. So once we, at our shop, go through the weld out process of the way things need to be fixtured, we also do countersink. So the entire surface of this thing, as well as the sides, have countersink bolts, so it's a flat surface. When you get this product from us via freight, all you'll need to do is bolt it together in position. Guys, we're really excited about this. If you're at PRI 2025, come by our booth 2969, check it out. We're going to pre-sell these starting today. They'll be live on the website. You guys can go there and check them out. We priced it very competitive for what it is. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. Go to our website, Hammer Concepts and Designs, and check it out.